Hello everyone, this is Isha for Pinkfresh Studio. I'm sharing a whimsical shaker card featuring the brand new Beautiful Soul product suite. I'm honored to design two sets for this release. Thank you so much, Kinnari, for the opportunity yet again. I'm using the Beautiful Soul press plate, dies, and the stencils. Here is the stamp set with two dainty floral clusters, which can be used in a variety of ways and styles. Another of my illustration is the beautiful butterfly bliss stamp set. I'm using stamps, dies, and stencils today. I'm also using the blue bonnet bliss press plate and the coordinating die, double stitched elongated oval dies, fresh floral dies. These come with the coordinating stencils, double stitched rectangle dies, scalloped grid cover plate dies. The ink colors I'm using are lemon whip, mimosa, candy violet, raspberry bliss, candy apple, ocean breeze, waterfall, paradise, grassy knoll, and calico white. I use the espresso bean foil, wow opaque white embossing powder, Pinkfresh 1-inch blending brushes, and the half and quarter-inch blending brushes. All the supplies are listed in the description box below, so be sure to check them out. I'm starting by die cutting the vellum using the scalloped grid cover plate. I will use this as a stencil to add some interest to my base layer. Here I'm adhering the vellum die cut to the panel using washi tape. I'm adding post-it notes to avoid getting ink on the rest of the area. Using Ocean Breeze ink and a 1-inch blending brush, I am blending from the center outwards to keep the maximum color concentration in the center and get a faded look as it moves away from the center. After removing the post-it notes and our DIY stencil, we can see the beautiful effect. Now I'm adding some white paint splatters onto the panel. So I just took some acrylic paint on a scrap paper, add some water, and then flicked it with a brush. I use the press plates to foil both the image and the sentiment using espresso bean foil. I prefer to use this foil color for a soft effect. The press plates give a beautiful foiled result. Next is time to play with the colors, my most favorite part of creating. I feel we can let our imagination go wild while playing with colors. I'm starting with stencil number 4 and I'm using grassy knoll ink to sponge the stems and leaves. Start with a light hand and then increase the pressure towards the base of the leaves. Then I switch to paradise ink and add it towards the end or bottom of the leaves to create dimension. For the floral buds base, I'm using waterfall ink with a 1/2-inch blending brush with a light hand. After removing the post-it notes, I'm moving on to the stencil number 1. For the top floral buds, I'm using lemon whip ink as our base color. Now I'm adding a touch of depth with marigold ink. I carefully wipe the stencil to avoid color contamination. Next, I use mimosa ink on a few of the florals, ensuring to overlap the colors a bit. This gives a seamless blend. Then I'm adding raspberry bliss ink lightly. I'm tapping the ink onto the stencil to achieve softer layers. After wiping the stencil again, I move on to the candy violet ink, which helps us get a tonal variation and it mutes the vibrancy of the raspberry bliss ink slightly. Moving on to the stencil number 3, I am adding coral reef ink to the small leaf cluster, and then at the base of these I am adding a touch of grassy knoll ink. For the next step, using the stencil number 2, I am adding shadows to the images. For the top buds and florals, I am using mimosa ink, and then I am going to apply candy apple ink for the rest of the shadow areas. Look at the pretty inked effect and how colors can have an effect on our mood. You can also use colors according to the recipient's color preference. For the panel that I had inked earlier, I die cut it with the largest of the double stitched rectangle dies. Here you see me arranging floral clusters. Normally when I get new supplies, I like to play with them a bit. For instance, I have some white embossed butterflies on vellum, so I'm going to use one of them on my card. I die cut the center of the inked panel using the double stitched elongated oval die. I also die cut an elongated oval from white cardstock using the same die. I'm going to apply Ocean Breeze ink to the edges. Next, I'm going to adhere this oval die cut to the card base. First, I attach the front panel to the card base with washi tape, and then I secure the elongated oval using liquid adhesive. On the back of this panel, I adhere some adhesive strips and attach acetate to create a shaker window. I place 3D foam strips around the opening, ensuring no gaps to prevent the shaker material from coming out. We don't want our shaker material to come out when the recipient receives the card. Here I am adding iridescent confetti stars, some chunky glitter, and multicolored hard confetti to the shaker well. I like using various textures as my shaker elements. I'm removing the backing paper and applying liquid adhesive to secure the acetate firmly. Cover with the second piece of acetate and press it down with an acrylic block. I die cut some leaves using white cardstock and glacier glitter cardstock. Initially, I thought of adding color using stencils, but I decided to use the negative space of the die cut panel instead. I'm placing the leaves in the gaps, and now I'm going to sponge grassy knoll inks to parts of the leaves with light pressure. To finish, I added waterfall ink to some of the leaf areas. Take your time doing this step because you don't need a lot of color or dimension. Add 3D foam to the edges of the panel, remove the backing paper, and adhere the layer to a turquoise cardstock. This step completes the shaker element. Next, I am using 3D foam tape behind the floral clusters. Remove the backing. Here you see me shaping the edges of the flowers and leaves a little bit before adhering them to the left side of the oval. These images have natural curves to them, so it's easy to layer them together and create the curve. Next, I trim some leaves from the leaf cluster into smaller pieces, and I'm going to adhere them into the arrangement for a fuller effect. I cut the glitter leaves into smaller segments and will adhere them to the composition. This would give us a fuller look and finish the composition. The Pinkfresh glitter paper cuts beautifully. For the sentiment, I use 3D foam tape to add dimension. Remove the backing paper and attach it to the card. On the side, I used calico white ink, stamped the butterflies onto the vellum, sprinkle it with white embossing powder, heat set it, and die cut it using coordinating dies. I want to add color to my butterflies, so I'm using the coordinating stencils. First, I'm applying mimosa and candy violet ink to the front wings. Using the next stencil, I color the backside of the wing with the same colors, mimosa at the top and candy violet at the bottom. I kept the colors similar to the floral image. I am using Ocean Breeze ink to the design in the lower wing. For the butterfly's body and for the antenna, I am using Metropolis ink. Coloring on vellum creates a beautifully soft effect, which I adore for my images. Finally, I adhere the butterfly to the card using liquid adhesive. I like how this card came together and all the elements blend well. This concludes my card for today. I hope you enjoyed today's project as much as I did. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications so you never miss out on new crafty inspiration. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting and bye bye.